Hey guys, this is Biosphere here, and I'm going to be chatting to you today about the updated 6.85 patch, which has been introduced on the 24th of September, which was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this patch has basically been introduced to nerf a lot of heroes which people have had a problem with. Heroes like Undying, Lena, Leshrac, and a few others. So we're going to get into that. There's also a lot of vision reduction here and there. Some buffs to the Ancients. There was a change in Undying's ultimate. A lot of changes to Terrorblade. He's been taken out of Captain's mode temporarily. There was some nerfs to techies, thank God. And yeah, a whole lot of stuff. But I'm going to run through the whole patch and just talk about what I think the influences of each change will have on the game. Obviously, there's some really small buffs and nerfs, as Arsfrog always does, which are a little bit odd, and you're not really sure why, but we'll get to that. Alright, so firstly, there's just a general thing which Purge no longer deals bonus damage to summoned units. That's not really a massive thing, but I suppose it can influence certain heroes, but it's not huge. Siege creeps now behave like normal lane creeps for spell targeting rules. Siege creeps now have 80% magic resistance. So this is really cool. So you've got magic heroes that can kill siege creeps easier. So last hitting of siege creeps might be easier for them, especially in the early game, in the early laning stage. Might be a useful thing, like heroes that can spam spells and have good mana regen. But in general, it's not a huge change in terms of influencing the game, but it is a big change as this has never really happened before. Ancient Thunder Hard has a new ability. That's one of the Ancients. War Drum's Aura provides plus 15 attack speed and plus 15 attack damage. Ancient Black Drake, which is, I think, the dragon, the big dragon, has a new ability, Dragon Hard Aura, which provides plus 2 armor, stackable. Ancient Dragon Camp units now have 2 less armor. So that is a huge buff to Ancients and makes it a lot harder to clear stacks, Ancient stacks, because now if you say stack the Ancients and there are 2 of these dragon hard, what are they called? Black Drake dragons, that's plus 2 armor will now become plus 4 armor on the entire Ancient stack, on each Ancient. So that makes it a lot harder to clear the Ancients. And then obviously this is a buff to Chen because he can now get these Black Drakes and buff the whole team. So it's a buff in general. And then obviously the Thunder Heart as well, plus 15 attack speed and plus 15% attack speed, plus 15% attack damage, which is an aura. So I'm assuming that applies to all the Ancients. So clearing of Ancients going to be a toughie in comparison to the past. Fixed the following passive abilities not being disabled by break: Nether Toxin, Tidebringer, Essence Aura, Hunter in the Night, Poison Sting, and neutral ability passives. So that was just a fix. Right, now to get to the heroes. Abaddon Mist Coil cooldown reduced from 5 to 4.5. Small buff. Borrowed Time Aghanim Scepter damage redirection increased from 35% to 50%. That is quite substantial. So an Aghanim Scepter on Abaddon will be a little bit more of a thing now. Obviously, from an application point of view, that would be anything to do with drafts that have heroes that want to stack up together and push. And they could just literally put Abaddon in the front and basically move into the team fight with Abaddon in the front, taking all the damage. So yeah, it's a nice buff to Abaddon. He needs a bit of love. Okay, Alchemist, Acid Spray, damage increased from 12, 16, 20, 24 to 15, 20, 25, 30. So that basically, it's a buff, but it's not massive. Look, it'll help him farm a lot better. But I think a bigger buff is the Grievel's Greed Bounty Rune bonus increased from 4 times to 5 times. So that'll just basically, look, okay, it's not huge, but it basically gives Alchemist that little extra push in the beginning. So if he gets both Bounty Runes, it's pretty ridiculous. The Acid Spray, yeah, that's pretty good for team fights, I guess. Ancient Apparition, Cold Feet cast range increased from 700 to 700, 800, 900, 1000. It's a small buff, but if you consider him as a harassing support in lane, it does make him a little bit more of a presence. But it's not massive. It's not a huge thing. Blink distance rescaled for anti-mage from 1000, 1075 to 925. So that basically reduces anti-mage's escapability in the early game, which is good. He needed a little bit of a nerf, I think. Mana Void stun rescaled. It's like so small, such a small change. But anyways. Bane Enfeeble cooldown reduced from 10 to 8. That's massive. In terms of him being a support in lane against, say, a PA or a hero that really needs that damage early on. Okay, obviously, I mean, if you're going against, say, an offlaner and you've got Bane as your safe lane support, and you want to get Enfeeble because the offlane is a kind of hero that relies on getting a last hit here and there, and etc. etc. Very, very good. Also, if you're dual laning mid for whatever reason, also a very nice buff there. Look, it's not anything that's going to game break, but it is very nice for Bane. Brain Sap mana cost reduced. It's only a slight buff. It'll just help him out with mana problems, because he can have mana problems. But anyways, fixed Fiend's Grip, sometimes not granting true sight. Okay, cool. Batrider's got a very nice buff. He needed it. He kind of fell out of the meta. So he's still an excellent hero, but he's kind of fallen out of the meta, which is surprising because he is a fighting hero. And the patches in the past, like 6.84 and 6.82, they've kind of been pushing towards fighting. And this hero is a fighting hero. So you would have expected him to be a part of all that, but he has had nerfs like maybe a year or two back, that have kind of thrown him out the meta, but I think this might get him back in. So basically, flame break damage over time reduced from 50 per second to 25-30. So that's actually a nerf, but then the flame break damage duration is increased, which I think is nice. Like if he's playing against, say, I don't know, TA mid or certain heroes, it's a nice buff against certain heroes. This is a big one. Added Aghanim Scepter upgrade. Flaming Lasso grabs its target as well as the target's nearest allied hero. So only one hero that's nearest him within a 400 range. The secondary target is tethered to the first, also causes Lasso to deal 100 damage per second. Very, very cool. Obviously, when you're ganking someone, like say a carry, there will quite often be a support hero that's hanging around, like say a Shadow Demon, so that he can disrupt the carry, whatever hero, Earthshaker maybe, so he can fissure. So this basically gives Batrider the opportunity to time his Flaming Lasso perfectly so that he grabs that support that's supposed to be looking after the carry. And that has been the biggest problem for Batrider, is that he can be countered so easily. So this gives him, a skill cap, an extra level of skill cap that can be utilized, which I think might get him back into the meta. We'll see. Bloodseeker, thirst scaling changed from 100% to 25% to, 100% to 25% to 75% to 25%. Yeah, it's not huge. nerf, but it's okay. Blood Rage heal reduced from 25% to 19-21. So that, I think, is a nice nerf for him. I think if he snowballed too hard, it was just ridiculous. So in the very, very early game, this will nerf him nicely, and it'll also make it harder for him to jungle, which is a good nerf, I think. Bounty Hunter track now provides vision only of the target rather than the area around it. Very big nerf for Bounty Hunter. Vision nerf, like I was talking about. So I think that's very good. Track allied bonus gold reduced from 50, 100, 150 to 40, 80, 120. Little nerf, but it can go a long way in terms of if you get like 7 track kills in 10 minutes, it's quite a bit of gold reduction. Brewmaster, Primal Split Storms Dispel Magic Area of Effect increased from 200 to 600. Primal Split Storms Dispel Magic cooldown reduced from 8 to 6. Primal Split Earth's Hurl Boulder cooldown reduced from 7 to 5 seconds. So that's a nice buff for him. But look, I don't think it's anything major, but it is a nice buff for him. I mean, you can now get off this Earth Spirit stun maybe twice or 3 times reliably, and the Dispel Magic, look, that's not... no one really uses that a hell of a lot, but, you know, maybe it'll encourage them to use it more. We'll see. Bristleback's passive Quill Spray damage threshold reduced from 250 to 230. It's a little nerf for him. It probably should have been nerfed a little bit more than that, but then you're kind of messing with the whole point of Bristleback, so maybe it's okay. Centaur War Runner, return strength as bonus damage increased from 26, 34, 42, 50% to 30, 42, 54, and 66%. That is a huge buff for Centaur War Runner because it just basically makes him even more scary when he gets tanky. When he gets a heart and whatever, that I think is a very nice buff for Centaur War Runner. I think he's an excellent hero as it is, a real manly hero. And now, I mean, like, even for farming purposes, you can farm a lot quicker once you start getting your strength up. I think that's a very nice buff for him. Chaos Knight, holy crap. Chaos Strike now lowers the target's armor by 5 for 8 seconds whenever it crits. Applies before the damage happens, like Desolator. Can be applied by illusions, but multiply instances do not stack. Only triggers when critical strike triggers. Massive. Huge, I think. Look, it's not game breaking or anything, but it's going to make him even more scarier in that little short period when he uses his ultimate, and basically just wipe out the whole team if he's farmed. So yeah, that is a nice buff for him. Chaos Strike critical damage reduced. So they have reduced the critical strike damage, but then that minus armor is crazy because yes, you've got a reduction in damage, but now the minus armor means that your allied heroes who are attacking them wipes them out. It's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Chen, Penitence, slow damage amplification increased. So yeah, Chen's getting a lot of love in this patch. So yeah, Test of Faith damage mana cost reduced from 175 to 90, 100, 110, 120. Very, very cool, especially early on in the game, in the laning phase. Test of Faith damage cooldown reduced from 24 to 16. Yeah, so that is really, really sick. Chen is getting buffed so majorly, even just with the Ancients being buffed, and him being able to use Aghanim Scepter to dominate those Ancients. Yeah, so I expect some more Chen play, and expect to see Chen more, especially in competitive play. I think we're going to see him quite a bit now. especially like in the pro games, to have a hero like this in the laning phase is huge, and to have him buffed like this is incredible. Puppy is smiling. Okay, Clinks. Why, oh why, I don't understand. Strafe cooldown reduced from 45, 40, 35, 30 to 40, 35, 30, 25. I didn't really feel like he needed a buff, but I suppose it's cool for Clinks players. Yeah, maybe this is trying to help new players that have started the game. They like invis heroes. It's maybe along those lines, but anyways, that's a buff for Clinks. Crystal Maiden gets buffed again. Crystal Nova cooldown reduced from 15 to 13. She gets little buffs every patch. Doxia base intelligence reduced by 2. Okay, so his life's going to be a little bit harder in the early phases to get out Iron Shells, and emphasis on him getting his Soul Ring early is going to be very important. Dazzle, Poison Touch, mana cost reduced from 100, 115, 130, 145 to 100. Very nice for Dazzle to be able to harass in the early game. Moving into like the later part of the laning phase, he'll be able to attack laning heroes and get kills a bit more easier. That Poison Touch at level 4, you cannot underestimate how effective it can be, especially if your carry has been getting good farm in the lane and you want to kill the offlaner. Very, very nice buff there for Dazzle. Death Prophet, Exorcism Spirits increased from 6/13/21 to 8/14/21. It's needed. Death Prophet's ultimate at level 1, I mean, the first time you level it up at level 6, has needed a little buff. It's very, very underwhelming. So that is nice. Look, it might mean that Death Ball lineups, Death Ball drafts, she'll be picked a lot more, but I don't think it's a major thing. Disruptor Thunderstrike cooldown reduced from 16 12 to 12 11 10 9. Very, very cool for Disruptor. I think we might be seeing Disruptor in the mid a bit more now. Let's hope. That'll be quite cool. Look, I don't think that in competitive play they would, but in pubs, people wanting to play a carry Disruptor just for fun, it buffs them. And obviously, again, it's like the Dazzle buff. It helps him in the laning phase to harass more and promote the safe lane into trying to get more kills. Also for him, I didn't even mention as well with the Dazzle buff, for them roaming. It's very effective for them roaming, like roaming mid to gank, roaming top. So yeah, that is a very nice buff for Disruptor. Thunderstrike now only provides vision over the target itself. Another vision nerf, which is cool. I'm happy about that. That's the vision. The whole vision war needed a little bit of a knock. So it also gives a nice buff to heroes that are centered around having a vision advantage, like Treant and Nightstalker and whatever. So yeah, I mean, maybe they didn't need that buff, but it's okay. You know, like the certain heroes, that's one of their fortes, so you may as well buff it for them. Doom Scorched Earth damage heal increased. That's quite substantial. It'll help him a lot with jungling, which is very, very nice. That's actually quite big for Doom, especially jungling early on, trying to get that Midas up. Very, very nice. So I think you'll see him a lot more in pubs. Level death cooldown reduced. It's very minor buff. But that Scorched Earth is very, very nice. Dragon Knight, Breathe Fire debuff duration increased from 8 to 11 seconds. Yo, okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, nice buff for Dragon Knight in the mid lane, especially against heroes like TA. So that's nice. Dry Ranger, precision aura bonus damage increased. Very small buff there. Precision aura cooldown reduced from 120 to 100. Again, small nerf there for Dry Ranger. Look, I don't think we're going to see millions of Dry Rangers in pro games, but maybe in pubs. Earthshaker, fissure damage reduced. So that's a nerf on Earthshaker, probably a needed nerf. Earthshaker, look, it's not a massive nerf, but it's just enough to satisfy certain people who maybe are going crazy because Earthshaker is being picked as a support quite a lot. Earth Spirit Stone Remnant is now placed in front of you when double clicking it. Oh, okay, that's cool. Elder Titan Echo Stomp area of effect increased from 475 to 500. Oh man, they needed to buff that a bit more, but I suppose any buff's good. Ancestral Spirit, they should have just reduced the cast point. Oh well. Ancestral Spirit mana cost rescaled from 110 to 80, 90, 100, 110. Okay, well that's cool. That makes him a little bit more viable because his mana dependency is quite a problem for him. Ancestral Spirit attack damage per creep increased from 3, 6, 9, 12 to 6, 9, 12, 15. It's very small. Yeah, it just makes him hit harder, punch harder. Natural order aura sticky duration increased from 0.5 to 1. Okay, that's cool. Enchantress, Nature's Attendance Wisp count increased by 1, it seems, per level. That's nice. The big one is Impetus is no longer a unique attack modifier. Wow, okay. So, Desolator, that is very nice. That is very, very nice for her. So, nice buff for Enchantress. Geez, big buff. And also Mask of Madness. Geez, that is actually a very nice buff. Okay, Enigma, Midnight Pulse, cast time reduced from 0.2 to 0.1. Cool. Midnight Pulse area of effect reduced from 600 to 550. Alright. So buffed and nerfed. Black Hole radius increased from 400 to 420. Oh, wow, that is so amazing. Okay, so that was very minor stuff there. Gyrocopter rocket barrage damaged. Incoming. This is so needed. Rocket barrage damage per rocket reduced from 8. Okay, that's a very small nerf though. That surely. Total damage reduced. No, that is maybe they should have nerfed that a little bit more. I don't know. But then maybe it would have chucked him out the meta. I don't know. Okay, well that's fine. That's fine. Maybe you didn't need such a massive nerf. Cooldown slow no longer pierces spell immunity. Okay, that's good. That's a nice nerf for him. So not hugely nerfed, but yeah, nerfed a little bit. Huskar, Berserker's Blood magic damage resistance per stack reduced from 4, 5, 6, 7 to 3, 4, 5, 6. So a little nerf for Huskar. Yeah, you're still not really going to be able to knock him with magic damage. But yeah, like I suppose it needed to be nerfed a little bit. That's alright. I'm happy about that. Invoker intelligence growth increased from 3.2 to 4. Yes, that's good. Invoker needed a buff. Alacrity speed damage bonus increased from 20 to 80 to 30 to 90. Nice one. Aghanim Scepter now adds 1 level to the stats provided by Quas, Wex, and Exhort on all invoked spells. Awesome. That is really cool. That is very cool. Max level Deafening Blast now retains its normal location target UR. Change to a no target cast at a certain level. This does not. Okay, yeah. So I think it just keeps it in this position that it was in, which is fine. So when you cast it, it stays where you casted it. I think that's what it's saying. I don't know. Jakiro, Dual Breath's fiery wave now moves at the same speed as its icy wave. Okay. Cool. Dual Breath damage increased from 16, 26, 56, 76 to 20, 40, 60, 80. That's nice. Nice rounded numbers. Little bit of a buff to Jakiro. Ice Path range increased from 1,100 to 1,200. Oh, that's actually a nice buff for him, for Jakiro. Makes him just that much more effective as a support. So yeah, nice buffs for Jakiro. I'm glad they did not buff Liquid Fire though. I'm very glad. Juggernaut, Blade Fury damage increased from 80, 100, 120 to 140 to 80, 105, 130, 155. So slight buff there for Juggernaut. I don't know if he needed it, but okay. Keeper of the Light, Chakra Magic spell cooldown reduction increased from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, that is really cool. Look, it's a very small amount, but I think that's very cool. That's a nice buff to Keeper of the Light. Yeah, so it's not huge, but it's a very cool buff. Kanka, Tidebringer damage increased from 15, 30, 45, 60 to 20, 35, 50, 65. Okay. Yeah, that's a small little buff. It's not going to change much. X marks the spot. Cast range rescaled from 355, okay, to... So it's just making his X marks cast range a bit higher in the early game. When you level it, maybe it'll promote people to level up past level 1. I don't know. We'll see. X marks the spot. Cooldown rescaled from 19, 16, 13, 10 to 26, 20, 14, 8. Okay, so this might promote people to level it up past level 1. We'll see. Ghost Ship cast point reduced from 0.4 to 0.3. Small little buff there. Okay, cool. Nothing major there. Legion Commander base damage increased by 4. Okay, that's nice. Overwhelming odds cooldown reduced from 18 to 15. That's a nice buff. Press the attack. Look, small buffs, but small but good. Press the attack cast time reduced from 0.3 to 0.2. Awesome. Fixed Legion Commander sometimes auto-attacking nearby units after duel ends instead of continue to attack the duel target. Okay, that's nice. I didn't know that. Leshrak. Yeah. Nah. I'm so happy about this nerf. I'm sorry, but he needed this. Base damage reduced by 4. Lightning Storm jump distance reduced from 650 to 475. Come on. So stoked about that. I mean, like, sometimes I'd be playing and he casts it and I'm like, seriously, how did that hit me? I was miles away. So that's awesome. Lightning Storm damage reduction from 80, 140, 200, 260 to 50, 100, 150, 200. Wonderful. So Lightning Storm, massive nerf on Lightning Storm, and it's not so OP anymore, which is great. And not too much of a nerf that it's thrown him out of the meta. I think he's still a relevant hero. But yeah, that's a great nerf there for Leshrak. Lich Sacrifice no longer splits XP with enemies. Okay. Okay, so that means Lich gets all the XP. That's great. That's very good. I remember they changed that to so that the enemy gets XP, but yeah, so that's a nice buff for Lich. Makes him able to stay in the lane instead of running back to do the sacrifice. Yeah, that's good. That's a very nice nerf. Very nice buff. Chain Frost projectile speed increased from 750 to 850. Okay, that's cool. Chain Frost attack speed slow increased from 20 to 30. Yo. So he's had some nice buffs here. That's very cool. That's very cool. Lifestealer Rage cooldown reduced from 19 to 16. Yo, hey? Okay, infest and control can now be used on ancient creeps. Yo. Okay, so they've buffed the ancient creeps, and now they've given Lifestealer the ability to infest an ancient creep. So I think this is a huge buff for Lifestealer. Look, it's not game breaking, but I think this is a very nice buff for Lifestealer, and the rage cooldown as well. That's huge for him. That means that his immunity to spells is 3 seconds, so it's more frequent. So it's like a free BKB more often. That's actually a very big buff for him. So maybe we'll see Lifestealer a bit more, and that's also a buff to him jungling as well. Yeah, that is a nice buff for Lifestealer. So we could be seeing him a bit more, maybe, yeah, maybe in the pro games as well. Yeah, I think so. Lina, Light Strike Array damage reduced from 120, 160. Okay, so we knew there was going to be some nerfs for Lina. Light Strike Array, it's kind of like a 40 damage reduction, which is, it's good. It's good. It's what was needed. Oh, big nerf here. Laguna Blade damage reduction from 450, 675, 950 to 450, 650, and 850. So it makes getting the Aghanim Scepter in late game less OP. So yeah, and then still at level 6 it's still the same damage. So I like that. I like these nerfs. I haven't nerfed Lina too hard. She's still completely relevant, but nerfed enough just to balance her out. That's good. Lion, Finger of Death, Aghanim Scepter upgrade, area of effect increased from 200 to 300. That is very nice. That is awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So nice increase there to combo up with certain heroes like Doxia and Magnus and those heroes, making sure you get everyone in the Finger of Death. Yeah, that's a nice buff there for Lion. Lone Druid, Summon Spirit Bear, cooldown reduced. Whoa, okay, that's awesome. Wow. So that means that in the earlier game, Lone Druid can summon his bear more often, which means he can have it take more damage, especially earlier on in the laning phase. So this is quite a big buff for Lone Druid. Battlecry bonus damage increased from 60, 90, 120 to 90, 120, 150. Wow, that's awesome. Battlecry bonus armor increased. Sure. Okay, so these are some really nice buffs for Lone Druid. Wow. Admiral Bulldog. Stoked. Very stoked. Very happy about this. He's going to be playing... Oh, I hope to see Bulldog playing Lone Druid again. Have not seen him play this hero in a while. Luna, strength gain increased from 1.9 to 2.2. Okay, so that'll make her a little bit more tanky, a little bit more health. Eclipse cooldown reduced from 160, 150, 140 to 140. Okay, so she can use Eclipse more often. Eclipse Aghanim Scepter beam count increased from 6, 10, 14 to 6, 12, 18. Right, so late game... See, now in the late game with Luna, usually just her glaives and everything make her quite a hard carry in late game, especially pushing high ground. So this kind of just says, you know, that's great and all, but, you know, she's still got her ultimate. So makes her ultimate a bit more relevant in the late game, which I think is quite nice. And also a little bit more relevant in the early game. Don't forget this buff. So buffs all around for Luna. Lycan. Strength gain increased from 2.75 to 3. Okay, so he's been buffed. Shapeshift critical strike chance increased from 30%. Wow. Okay, so Lycan's been buffed. Yeah, look, this is quite a decent buff for Lycan. Maybe it'll be enough to have him played more often in pro games. I don't know if he really needed a buff. I mean, he was nerfed, I think, in the last patch. So, yeah, okay. Well, we'll see how that turns out. He might be played more in pro games now, especially in pushing lineups and whatever. look, there's more emphasis on fighting, so I suppose this also increases his capacity as a fighter in the late game. So yeah, that's a good buff, but I don't know if he really needed to be buffed. He was quite good as it is. Magnus Empower cooldown reduced from 12 to 8. Whoa, that is huge. 4 seconds. Jeepers, okay. So combining up Magnus with right-click heroes, right-click carries is going to be more relevant now. That is a very nice buff for Magnus. Sure. Okay. Medusa, yeah, and I mean, like, helping your allied team farm as well. I mean, you can just keep Empower on them. That is a cool buff for Magnus. Medusa, Mystic, Snake, damage and Mana Steel boost per jump increased from 25% to 35%. I'm okay with that. Mystic Snake is a little bit underwhelming, so I think that's cool. Makes it also a little bit more relevant earlier on. Only a little bit, especially in the laning phase and being able to harass the offlaner or whatever. That's quite cool. Mirana. Now, I love Mirana, so let's see. Agility growth from increased. Okay, that's great English. Agility growth increased 2.75 to 3.3. Holy shit balls, that's high. Wow, okay. That is awesome. Okay, so making Mirana a little bit more relevant in the late game. And as she levels, that's very cool, especially for an offlane Mirana, because you're getting that extra agility gain. Wow, that's really awesome. I'm very stoked about that. I'm very happy about that. Okay, Starstorm secondary strike search radius increased from 325 to 425. Okay, that's cool. It means when you hit an arrow, you don't have to get as close to your target to be able to hit the second star, and you can get out. Okay, so less risk. That's cool. I like that. So, nice buff to Mirana. Might make a lot more of a relevant late game carry. Maybe even in pro games. We'll see. I would actually really like to see that. That would be cool. Morphling. Agility growth increased from 3 to 3.4. That's a very nice buff there for Morphling as well, considering that he always relies on being able to increase his agility for attack, damage, and speed. So that is a nice buff for Morphling. Adaptive strike damage rescaled from 20, 40, 60, 80 to 50, 60, 70, 80. That's cool. I'm happy about that. Yeah, I mean, adaptive strike is a little bit underwhelming early on, so that kind of makes it a lot more relevant early on. Maybe to try and drive people to level it up a bit earlier. Yeah, that's a nice buff for Morphling, especially for the laning phase. Hybrid no longer hides Morphling or restricts its usage when a replicate is out. Hybrids are visibly known to enemies. Okay, yeah, they're doing this with Terrorblade as well, where basically his hybrids are seen as like an illusion. Like, you can see that it's an illusion when you are the enemy team. Nagasaran Riptide damage rescaled from 130, 160, 190 to 220. Sorry, 220 to 100, 140, 180, 220. Okay, so that just makes Riptide weaker in the laning stage, basically. So it's a slight nerf there, but I mean, then Nagasaran's whole late game, generally you play Nagasaran to go into the late game, so it doesn't really nerf that late game at all. Song of the Siren, Aghanim Scepter heal increased from 6% to 8%. Okay, that's a nice buff for Nagasaran. Yeah, especially in team fights when, like, say, everything's going wrong for you, you song, and it isn't for an escape mechanism, it's just to reposition, and then your heroes get nicely healed up so that you can carry on fighting. Makes that aspect of her Song of the Siren and getting Aghanim Scepter a little bit more relevant, and I don't know if people are really going to buy Ags on her, but whatever. Nature's Prophet sprout cast time reduced from 0.5 to 0.35. Alright, just makes it easier for him to sprout quicker. I mean, it's a nice buff, I suppose. Sprout mana cost reduced from 100, 120, 140, 160 to 70. Okay, I see what they're doing here. They're trying to make Nature's Prophet, or to promote players to play Nature's Prophet more as a ganking, attacking kind of hero rather than a rat, basically. Nature's Call Treant's movement speed increased from 300 to 325. Alright, and then they buffed the rat. Nature's Call Treant's vision reduced. Okay, so reduction in vision, very cool. Fits in with the whole patch of reducing vision on heroes that it isn't a massive relevance to have vision. Greater Treant base attack time reduced from 1.7 to 1. Okay, well that's cool. That's very cool. Wrath of Nature Aghanim Scepter now applies a 4-second buff on the units it hits, which will spawn the extra treant if the unit dies during that time. Okay, so buffing the Aghanim Scepter, making people want to buy it more and use it more. That is actually very useful in a team fight, because often you'll try and time the death so that you spawn a treant and you just miss it and then the hero dies. So that is very nice, and will maybe make the Aghanim Scepter a lot more relevant, especially because if you win a team fight and you spawn these greater treants in the fight, then as soon as you've won the fight, say you team wipe your enemy heroes or whatever, and immediately now you want to take objectives. If you've got that Aghanim Scepter, now you got these big treants, you can push a lot faster. So that really does make the Aghanim Scepter a lot more relevant. I think maybe we'll see a lot more people using Aghanim Scepter with with Nature's Prophet. Okay, Necrophos Death Pulse damage increased from 75, 125, 200, 275 to 125, 175, 225, 275. Okay, so this is just making Death Pulse more relevant in the laning stage. And making him more relevant as a support. So that's quite cool. Heartstopper Aura no longer affects Ancient Creeps. Whoa, seriously? Okay, so that's a huge nerf for Necrophos. So he cannot stack Ancients and farm them easily. I thought that with the Ancients getting stronger, that Necrophos being able to farm them passively like he does, would actually be a buff for him. But okay, so he's hugely nerfed by that, especially as a carry Necrophos. Sadist heal regen increased 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2, 3, 6. Just makes him regen fast in the late game. Sadist mana regen increased once again, so just increasing about 2 on the final level. Just make him better in the late game, I suppose. Nightstalker base health regen increased from 0.25 to 2. Whoa, okay, so Nightstalker offlane, very relevant now. Sure, that is a very nice buff to Nightstalker. I don't know if he really needed a buff, but okay, so yeah, that might make him a nice offlaner. We'll see. We'll see how much he's played in offlane. A lot more, but we'll see if it's like in pro games and stuff. Nyx Assassin Burrow Impale cooldown reduced from 9 to 7. Okay, that's cool. Burrow Impale and mana burn bonus range increased from 50% to 75%. Okay, that's quite a buff. Vendetta duration increased from 25, 35, 50 to 40, 50, 60. Sure, okay, so nice buffs for Nyx Assassin, especially around the whole burrowing. Yeah, okay, so that's a very nice buff to Nyx Assassin. Might see him played a lot more. Ogre Magi, base armor increased by 1. Really? Increased his armor again. This is like the most armor intensive support hero, or intelligence hero. Sure, okay. Bloodlust attack speed bonus increased from 20, 30, 40, 50 to 30, 40, 50, 60. Wow, that's quite big. That is a very, very big buff for Ogre Magi. Bloodlust can now be cast on towers. What? Are you serious? Jeepers. Okay, so this makes him like a buff to him in a T. So like he's walking with his team, he buffs them with Bloodlust, and they go and attack and push. And then a buff to his defensive capability, so the team's defending, say, high ground or defending a tower, and he can actually Bloodlust his tower. Yo, okay, so that's a very nice buff for Ogre Magi. Wow. Fixed multicast, Bloodlust not affecting nearby spell immune allies. Okay, that's a nice fix for him. Sure, okay, so lots of buffs for Ogre Magi. Might see him a lot more now. Sure, that's some very nice buffs for him. Omni-Knight Purification cast point reduced from 0.4 to 0.25. Why? Why are you buffing Omni-Knights? Seriously, Degen Aura stickiness reduced. Okay, that's a good nerf. Okay, so they were gonna nerf Degen Aura, so then they said, okay, well we're gonna nerf Degen Aura. Let's buff his whole point of healing. So maybe less carry Omni-Knights being played. I don't know if it's big enough to be able to do that, to really stop the Omni-Knight terrible carry Omni-Knight games that happen sometimes, where you just get crushed. Oracle, Fortune's End cast time reduced from 0.3 to 0. Wow, that is very nice. Fortune's End cast range increased. Fortune's End radius increased. Fortune's End damage rescaled to... Oh, geez, okay, so 75, 150, 225, 300, 290, 120, 150, 180. Okay, so buffs in the top three, they were all buffs, and then they nerfed or buffed in the laning stage, but nerfed in late game Fortune's End's damage. Okay, so it's like buffs and nerfs. It's just rebalancing, I suppose. Fortune's End cooldown rescaled from 12:15 to 15:12:96. So then they buff the cooldown. Okay, so they nerfed the damage, but they buffed the cooldown and the range and the radius and extra, etc., etc. So I suppose they're just balancing it out the way they wanted, how Icefrog wanted. Fate's Edict no longer amplifies incoming non-magical damage. Okay. Fate's Edict now has normal purgeability rules. Alright, so that's a little bit of a nerf. Purify Flames cooldown reduced from 2.5 to 2.25. Alright, so a little buff there. Not a huge thing going on here, more of a rebalance, I suppose. Outworld Devourer strength gain increased from 1.85 to 2.3. Very cool. Outworld needs a bit of a health buff, so that's quite nice. Makes him more relevant in the mid lane. He can take more harass. That's very nice. That actually might be a little bit... Okay, we'll carry on. Sanity's Eclipse now always removes 40% of the affected hero's max mana. Yo. Okay, instead of 75% of current mana. Sure, okay. Okay, that's actually huge. So you can just completely remove the enemy hero's like last 40% of mana. That's very nice. Sanity's Eclipse mana loss no longer pierces spell immunity. Okay, alright. Sanity's Eclipse cast range increased from 600, 650, 700, 700. So it's just a constant 700. Sanity's Eclipse cast range is no longer increased with Aghanim Scepter. Alright. So it's a little bit of a buff over there, but I think this strength gain is a huge buff for Outworld Devourer as a competitive mid hero. Yeah, so you might see him played a lot more in mid. Okay, Phantom Assassin. Stifling Dagger now applies your attacks on hit effects. Seriously? Does not guarantee a proc if the effect is chance based. That is insane. So you can bash with Stifling Dagger. So you can like bash the hero, run a little bit, hit him. Okay, that is awesome. Wow. Okay. Blur no longer has a 0.75 second delay. Okay. Sure. That's so buffed. Phantom Assassin got buffed in a weird way and in a generic way. I don't know if PA needed a buff. Anyways. Phantom Lancer, agility growth reduced from 3 to 2.6. Cool, very cool. Doppelganger cast time increased from 0 to 0.1. Thank God there's at least some sort of cast time. They should have made that a bit more though. The cancer. Okay, so the agility nerf is great. It makes him less crazy in the late game. It is very nice, but I think he's still going to be relevant because of the illusions, etc. The doppelganger cast time increased. That's cool. It's a little nerf. Gives you that little split second to be able to react. I think it should have been a bit more. But anyways, you don't want to... I suppose you don't want to buff him too hard. Yeah. But the cancel will still be real. Phoenix, Sunray, max health damage per second increased from 1, 2, 3, 4% to... So a little bit of a buff to the Sunray. I think this was needed. Sunray is a little bit underwhelming sometimes. Heal per second is half these values. Yeah, so that's a nice buff, I think. I think that's a nice buff. Puck, illusory orb speed increased from 600 to 650. Illusory orb cooldown reduced from 12 to 11 seconds. Dream Coil cooldown reduced from 85 to 75. Some nice buffs for Puck. He seemed a little bit, or he or she, I don't know what it is. It has seemed a little bit underwhelming at times. Well, not underwhelming, not at all. A little bit out of the meta at times recently. So this might bring him back into the meta a bit more. Giving him little buffs like this. He's still a very much relevant hero in this last meta, but this might just push him that much more ahead so that people start picking Puck a lot more. I love seeing Puck. I love watching Puck in pro games, and I am absolutely shit with the hero. Don't ask me why, but I'm horrendously bad. I've played other heroes, tried him again. I don't know. I'm not great with Puck, but I love watching Puck play and I love playing with Puck. So I like this. Pudge. Rot damage rescaled from 35, 60, 85, 110 to 30, 60, 90, 120. Okay, so rot damage reduced in the early game, increased in the late game. I think that's fair enough. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's good. Rot move slow increased from 20, 22, 24, 26 to 27%. That is huge. That is massive for the laning phase, for mid Pudge. Especially if he can get to like ranged heroes and slow them and he can just chase them down. I think that's quite a massive. Pudge is all about getting ahead in the early game, getting the kills, snowballing, whatever. So this gives him a tool to like literally, even for ganking, to like just pull into the lane and rot and slow the hero by 27%, which will be enough to just chase him down and kill him. Let alone the whole hooking. I mean, you can hook him in as well and slow him. So I think that's a very nice buff for Pudge. Makes him a little bit more relevant, even though I think he was relevant either way if you've got the skill cap for him. But yeah, that's a nice buff. Pugna, base move speed increased from 320 to 330. Alright, so he's faster now. Nether Ward is now placed at the target location using a 150 cast range ability. Alright, instead of placing 150 units in front of his facing. Okay, that's a nice buff for Pugna. Makes positioning of the Nether Ward a little bit easier, so you can put it in the trees a little bit easier. Yeah, I like that. That's okay. Look, Pugna is a strange hero. Like, he's being buffed here, but he's still, if he's played correctly, he is still a crazy hero. So giving him buffs like this, maybe just promotes people to play him more, so that people, I don't know. But I think either way, even before this patch, he's still an insane hero, especially against magic intensive lineups. Life drain, damage, steal per second increased. Okay, so they're buffing Pugna. They want to see him more. I think this will just make him be picked more in pro games, especially against magic damage intensive lineups, pretty much. Queen of Pain, Sonic Wave damage reduced from 290, 390, 490 to 290, 380, 470. Cool, very much expected. Aghanim Scepter damage reduced as well. So yeah, that was expected and it happened. Razor. Static Link now drains damage smoothly over its duration rather than every second. I like that. That's cool. I think it should have always been like that. Ricky, permanent buff, I think, for Razor, in my opinion. Ricky? Why are they buffing Ricky? Permanent visibility health regen increased. Okay. Well, okay, so I think maybe the reasoning behind this is a lot of new players to the scene will play Ricky because their opposition isn't that familiar with the whole invis and getting sentries and dust and gem. So maybe this just kind of like gives them more of a motivation to be OP. And then at the same time, maybe making Ricky a little bit more relevant in the pro scene. Yeah, I mean, if you running around ganking, whatever, it just means that you don't have to go back to base as much or get a bottle, whatever. So yeah, look, I don't know if Ricky really needed a buff, but anyways. Sand King, Caustic, Finale debuff, expire damage increased from 30% to 50%. Whoa. Okay. Wow. Okay, so that is crazy for the laning stage. And for farming as well. Like, less emphasis on Sandstorm. I mean, now you want to hit, if you've got like a stack of like 4 stack or 5 stack in the jungle, you want to hit a couple of the smaller creeps so that when they die, it just wipes out the entire stack. So this is a huge buff to Sand King for laning stage, for getting farm. Okay, Caustic Finale debuff slow increased from 20% to 25%. Okay, so a little bit of a buff as well for the laning stage. Jeepers. So if you hit all the creeps, go into Sandstorm, and some carry TPs in, walks to the creeps to last hit, and didn't see you like hitting all of the creeps, you can like literally just kill him. Like, that is insane. That's really cool. Okay. Shadow Demon, Shadow Poison cooldown reduced from 2.75 to 2.5. See, now this is actually, even though it's such a small buff, it is still quite a big buff, like, because you can use this Shadow Poison more effectively earlier on when heroes don't have as much health or whatever, and as well in team fights you can get more stacks on their enemies as the team fight progresses. I think it's a nice buff for Shadow Demon. I don't know if he really needed it, but it makes Shadow Poison more relevant. Shadow Shaman, Shackles cooldown reduced from 16 to 10. Holy crap. Yo, okay, that is quite a big buff. Jeepers. That is a huge buff, especially for early on in the game. You can kill the offlaner a lot easier. That is a nice buff for Shadow Shaman. Shackles total damage increased from 120, 160, 160, 200 to 120, 180, 240, 300. Yo, okay, so late game shackling. Here we go. Silencer, fixed last word cooldown. Fixed last word countdown debuff not being purgeable. Alright. Scarith Mage, concussive shot cooldown reduced from 20, 18, 16, 14 to 18, 16, 14, 12. Okay, so yeah, so the buff to Scarith Mage in the laning phase and later on, but I think that's more for the laning phase because you can use it more often to slow the hero that you are harassing and get more damage on him and maybe even kill him. Mystic Flare no longer splits its damage over spell immune heroes. Okay, so nice buffs for Scarith Mage. That's very cool. Yeah, Mystic Flare. So if someone's got a BKB and they're in the Mystic Flare, it won't be split over them. That's nice. Slaughter Sprint now provides phased movement. Wow, that's cool. Sprint cooldown reduced from 23 to 17. Holy crap. Sprint duration reduced from 16 to 12. Okay, so the duration's reduced by 4, but the cooldown's reduced by 6. So essentially you've got about a 2-second buff there. So it's not as big as it seems, but it's still pretty big. And I think the phase movement's the most massive one. Because then before you get a Blink Dagger, you have far more of presence and just running through the creep wave and stunning. And then obviously blinking and stunning and being able to run through the heroes if you need to get out quickly. So I like that. That's a nice buff to Slardar. He can be quite irritatingly OP if he snowballs, but he's still, I think he still needs a little bit of love so that he can be more relevant in the pro scene. Sniper Shrapnel delay reduced from 1.4 to 1.2 seconds. Cool. Sniper gets a buff. He was nerfed quite hard in the last patch, so that's alright. I'm okay with that. Spectre. Desolate now works on non-hero units if they are alone. Cool. So farming will be a bit faster. It's not that amazing, but yeah, okay. Dispersion now reflects damage before reductions and returns it as the same damage type. Wait. Now reflects damage before reductions. Oh, shit, okay. And returns it as the same as rather than as pure damage after reduction. Okay, cool. So that's just kind of making it. So if you magically damage Spectre, it returns as magic damage, which means if you've got spell immunity, then the damage happens before reductions though. So it's kind of still pure damage, I suppose. I'm not really sure how that changes things. I don't know. Greater Bash, Spirit Breaker. Greater Bash now uses pseudo-random chance. Okay, if that bash wasn't irritating enough. Storm Spirit, Static Remnant, mana cost increased from 70, 80, 90, 100. Yo. Static Remnant, unobstructed vision reduced. Okay, that's in line with the whole vision nerfing. Ball Lightning, base mana cost increased from 15 plus 7% to 30 plus 8%. Yo, okay. Huge nerf to Storm Spirit, especially early on in the mid lane. He can't spam his Static Remnant as much and is more reliant on the bottle. I think that's a good nerf. And then the Ball Lightning, it just makes him not be able to just like fly across the whole map when he's super farmed. Like it just reduces his. It's not a massive nerf, but it's a good nerf. Like it reduces that Ball Lightning distance that you can go from your mana pool a little bit less. Yeah, I think it's a good nerf. Sven, base intelligence increased by 2. I think that's wonderful. Sven needs his mana quite a lot, so I think that's good. Gives him more mana regen. Great Cleave damage increased from 20, 35, 50 to 65 to... okay, so his Cleave's more relevant early on, not as buffed later on. I think that's good because the Cleave early on, it felt a bit underwhelming. I know a lot of people would level it, but now it's a lot more relevant to get the Cleave early on. So that's cool. Techies. Right, so let's hope these are all nerfs. Techies' mines are no longer triggered when destroyed. Okay, so when you're a melee hero, you can kill them and they don't trigger. Huge nerf. Massive nerf, because then you don't get that whole thing where you pick a team and they suddenly pick techies and now you've got like one hero that can actually destroy the mines without dying. So that is a massive nerf. Techies' mines can now be destroyed using Quelling Blade, Battle Fury. Again, very, very nice nerf there. So you don't even have to like auto attack them. That's cool. Techies mines now provide 10 gold for destroying them. Nice, you get gold for putting in the time to destroy them. Landmines cooldown and mana cost reduced by 50%. Holy crap. So you can put more landmines, even though you can destroy them. Okay. So a lot more damage going on. Landmines damage reduced. Okay, so the damage is reduced by 50%. Okay, so you can put them down faster, but the damage is reduced. I like this because it just means you can put them more around all over the place. Like it makes the skill cap a bit higher for techies basically. So you can place like 3 mines here and 3 mines there instead of just like 3 mines in one place, and they do the same damage. Landmines, okay, so landmines no longer have a max count. Okay, so you can just cover the whole map in landmines. That's wonderful. Ooh, damn. Okay, so yeah. So late game techies is gonna just be horrendous. You can just literally cover the whole entire map in landmines. Great. Landmines and stasis traps no longer block neutral spawns. Awesome. I think that is excellent. That was just way too overpowered. Landmines no longer stack exactly on top of each other. Okay, cool. That's also wonderful, especially in line with this whole destroying of them. Like you would sit there and try and destroy them. You like destroy. Okay, Jesus, how many are here? Like freaking hell. So that's great. Lovely nerfs for techies there. Not nerfed to death, I must say. I think he's still going to be very relevant. Just a little bit more balanced, I would say. Terrorblade temporarily removed from captain's mode. Reflection now affects all enemy heroes in a 900 area of effect. Wow. Okay, so team fights, now Reflection is very relevant in team fights, not just for those solo kills. That's very cool. Will not affect units that are in fog or who are invisible. Okay, that's good. Reflection attack and move slow reduced from 60% to 25%. Alright, so that's cool. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a nerf. Reflection cooldown rescale. Obviously, you need to nerf it if you're putting it as an area of effect. Reflection cooldown rescaled from 22-18-14-10 to 22-20-18-16. Okay, so cooldown is higher, so it's been nerfed because obviously they realized that this area of affecting is quite hardcore, so they need to nerf it to see how that works. Conjure image illusions are now known as illusions to the enemies. That's great. That's that whole thing of now illusions can be seen as illusions. So you can't just send a Terrorblade off and then everyone like mistakenly like uses black hole on it and it's an illusion. So that's quite a big nerf for Terrorblade, I'd say. Conjure image cast point reduced. That's great. That's awesome. Metamorphosis now emits a 900 range aura that affects his nearby illusions, causing them to match his current form. Okay, that's cool. That's very cool. That's quite nice. Sunder cast range increased from 325 to 550. I like that. That's cool. It's just making Sunder be more of a thing. Yeah, like I think that's alright. Sunder minimum health increased, okay, by 5%. That's also alright. Tide Hunter gush armor reduction increased from 2345 to 3456. Yeah, nice buff for Tide Hunter. Makes it easier to do ancients as well with the whole ancient buff. So that's quite cool. Timbersaw Whirling Death cooldown reduced from 8 to 6. Shit balls. Wow, okay. So you can just spam that Whirling Death like no tomorrow. That's very nice for the laning phase, I'd say. That's awesome. Sure. Okay. So nice buff for Timbersaw. Tinker rearm channel time reduced from 321 to 3.1.5 and 0.5. That is a very nice buff for Tinker, especially in the late game, because you can just spam rockets and get back to base quicker and heal up and get your mana up and then go back out again. It just makes, that is a huge buff for Tinker. It just makes him do more in games, which is massive, because I mean he's using that spell all the time. So that's 0.25 seconds adds up as you go. I think that's a massive buff, Tinker. Very, very cool. Tiny base strength increased from 24 to 26. They are buffing Tiny, holy shit. Base intelligence increased from 14 to 17. So more mana, more tank ability, more damage. Very cool. Look, I like Tiny, but he's a little bit underwhelming very early, I think, unless he's comboing up with heroes and whatever. When you're getting into the mid game, he's really hectic. So this buff, I think, could have been scaled a bit differently or done a bit differently to try and buff him in the early game, but not as much in the mid and late game. This is buffing him overall. So in the late game, now he's going to be even more hectic. I don't know. I don't know if this needed to happen. Maybe this is going to make him a little bit too hectic. I don't know. We'll have to see. Treant Protector. Leech Seed mana cost reduced from 140 to 100, 110, 120, 130. Okay, that's a nice buff for Treant. Troll Warlord. Fervor attack speed per stack increased. Why are you doing this? Okay, it's not a massive buff, but buffing Troll is like asking for trouble. Asking for people to just play Troll all the time. I don't know, maybe it's not such a massive... Look, it's playing into his strength, which is his whole Fervor thing, but I don't know, maybe it's making Fervor more relevant to be leveled up. Alright, Tuskar. Ice Shards mana cost increased from 90 to 100, 105. Okay, that's great. I like that nerf. That's an excellent nerf. Needed to happen. Snowball max launch time reduced from 4 to 3 seconds. Wonderful. You can't just go into Snowball for 4 seconds. You can only go into it for 3 seconds. So that, I think that's excellent. Frozen Sigil no longer goes through spell immunity. I don't know why it did. Okay, so this is great. Aghanim Scepter Walrus Kick now deals 200 damage. Cool. That's great. So nice nerfs to Tuskar. I like these nerfs up here. Undying. Aghanim Scepter no longer improves Flesh Golem. Previously it increased damage, amplification, and heal. Cool. Aghanim Scepter now increases Decay Strength Steel from 4 to 10. Yo. That is huge. Whoa, okay, so Aghanim Scepter on Undying, very relevant. Wow, so you can just steal their strength and their health like crazy if you got Aghanims. That is incredible. Okay, so that's a buff to Undying. Jesus, I hope they're nerfing him down here. Tombstone Zombies attack damage reduced. Great. Excellent nerf. Needed to happen. Great. Tombstone now requires a constant number of attacks to be destroyed. 3, 4, 5, 7 from heroes. That is wonderful. I'm so happy about that. That means that if he puts his tombstone down at level 1, you just hit it 3 times and they are gone. That is excellent. 6, 8, 10, 14 attacks from creeps. Also very cool. So that's a good nerf to Undying. Soul Rope can now restore 1, 2, 3, 4 health to Tombstone. Okay, so you can heal your Tombstone like that. Cool. That's obviously needed to happen because of the making it hits. Ursa. I love Ursa to death. I love playing him, so let's hope these are buffs. Actually, no, he will probably be nerfed. But it's okay. I'm happy with that. He was quite OP. Strength gain reduced from in pubs, I mean. Strength gain reduced from 2.9 to 2.7. That's quite substantial. Earth Shock cooldown reduced from 6 to 5. Oh, okay. So that's a buff. So making it more relevant to get Earth Shock, especially early on. Enrage Fury Swipes multiplier reduced 1.5 to 2.5. Okay, so a nerf on Fury Swipes. It needed to happen. I think on Enrage. That Enrage is as OP as fuck, even just with the damage reduction. So I think this nerf's good, even though it pains me inside. Enrage cooldown reduced. Okay, so cool. So the cooldown's reduced. So this isn't a massive nerf to Ursa, I must say. This is actually even a little bit of a buff here and there. It's like a rebalance basically. So I like that. Vengeful Spirit agility gain increased from 2.8 to 3.3. That is a huge buff for Venge. Might make her a lot more relevant as a carry and less people using it her less as a support. That's very cool. Base movement speed increased from 295 to 300. So small buff. Venomancer, poison sting damage increased from 5, 10, 15, 20 to 6, 12, 18, 24. Okay, so that's a nice buff for Veno, especially to his wards, which get poison sting. So that is a cool buff. Poison sting now works normally on illusions. Nice. Poison Nova damage per second reduced from 36, 58, 81 to 30, 55, 80. Okay, so it's a slight nerf, especially to to Poison Nova, the ultimate, early on. But not as much of a nerf in the late game, which is fine. It's just a rebalance. A&M Scepter damage per second increased from 58, 81, 108 to 60. Okay, so more relevancy on getting that axe. Poison Nova duration increased to a flat 16. Okay, so it's an overall buff. It's actually a huge buff, especially for the early game, even though the damage was reduced. Having it as 16 seconds in the early game is excellent. Okay, so nice buffs for Veno. You might see him a lot more now. Viper, agility growth increased from 2.5 to 2.9. Nice buff for Viper. I'm sure a lot of people in pubs will hate the fact that he's been buffed, but in general, from a pro scene perspective, he kind of needed the buff. So yeah. Corrosive Skin, slow, no longer pierces spell immunity. That is really good. That is a good nerf. I think that was a little bit irritating. So I'm glad that's been nerfed. There's a lot of this whole passive, debuffs going through spell immunity before and not anymore. There's a lot of that going on, which I think is good. Visage, or Visage. Familiar stone form area of effect increased. Okay, that's a small little buff to Visage. Very good. Warlock golems can no longer be destroyed by Purge. That is a huge buff to Warlock. Wow. Okay, so carry Warlock, or I suppose it's like a semi-carry Warlock in pro games, I think will be a lot more relevant now. Also, Death Ball lineups, Warlock fifth. It's like, say you've got a fifth pick and Warlock's relevant because of the draft that you're against. He'll be able to get farm in the laning stage, etc., etc. You fifth pick Warlock, and say your opposition team doesn't have a very powerful right-click carry, then you pick Warlock as a fifth pick, and now all of a sudden they can't purge the golems. They have got magical damage, so that's their main focus. So now killing these golems is going to be very hard. So this is a great buff to Warlock. Excellent, excellent buff. Weaver, the Swarm mana cost rescaled from 100 to 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, so it just makes Swarm more relevant earlier on. A lot of people don't really level it that much early on, so it just makes it more relevant. The Swarm cooldown reduced. Okay, so just trying to make it more relevant to be leveled up early on. Winter Wyvern, Winter's Curse no longer affects spell immune enemies in the area, but it still affects the primary target. Yeah, I think that's good. That fits with the whole spell immune thing that's been going through the whole patch. That trend. I think that's good. A little bit of a nerf to Winter Wyvern though, especially in the late game. Witch Doctor, Death Ward damage increased from 60, 90, 120 to 60, 105, 150. That's a nice buff. Scepter now deals the same damage. What? Oh, geez, okay. Okay, so that's actually a little bit of a nerf. This whole Scepter damage. Okay. Death Ward no longer bounces once at level 3. Still bounces 4 times a scepter. Okay, so they're just trying to they're trying to increase the relevancy of its ultimate without the Aghanim Scepter and reduce the craziness of the Aghanim Scepter when you get it, and you can just like literally fountain farm if you're in that position of dominance. Yeah, so it's like a slight buff, and then like in the early on in the game, and then quite a nerf later on in the late game. Wraith King, base damage increased by 7. Geez, that is quite substantial. That is quite a lot by 7. Vampiric Aura does not show the healing effect if Wraith King is in the fog of war or invisible. Okay, that's good. That's like a fix. Reincarnation Aghanim Scepter ally death delay increased from 5 to 7. Yo, that's a lot. Wow, so you have an extra 2 seconds of fighting time. So if you die around him, or he dies, that's 7 seconds of fighting time before you actually die. Where you kind of like, you're just like invincible for 7 seconds, but you know you're going to die. Wow, that is actually a huge buff to his Aghanim Scepter. I see many, many, many more Wraith King supports getting Aghanim Scepter. This is going to be seen a lot in the pro scene, I think. Yeah, definitely. Reincarnation Aghanim Scepter ally Wraith Aura now remains active during reincarnation. Okay, cool. That's good. That's also a buff. Right, items. The following target unit items are now like bottles. Self-cast by default and target cast with control. Oh, I don't know if I like this. No, man, why did they do this? Okay, it just makes it a little bit more frustrating when you have to give your healing salve or your mango or something to someone else. Anyways, Aegis of the Immortal. Aegis now provides temporary ground vision near your death area while reincarnating. That's good. I like that. Bloodstone. Respawn time reduction. Reduced from 4 per charge to 3 per charge. I like that nerf. I think the whole respawn thing can get ridiculous, where you just like literally insta respawn, then you go and die, and then you respawn in like 12 seconds. It's hectic. Bloodstone no longer reduces gold loss on death. Very good nerf. I like that nerf. Bloodstone no longer grants vision experience where its owner died. Sure. Okay, so Bloodstone nerfed hugely. Still, its generic application of needing it for mana regen is still existent, but all the extra stuff's been nerfed, which I like. I think that's good. Bottle, health mana restore reduced. Okay, so they nerfed bottles. Health. Okay, so the amount of health that a bottle's charge can restore is reduced by 25. I don't know if they really needed that. Okay, well that's cool. So it just makes harassing more relevant. There's actually been a lot of that in this patch, where there's this promoting supports to harass more and to be able to harass more. So I suppose it's in line with that whole theme of the patch. So if you're a support and you play a lot of support, harass more. That's basically what this patch is saying. And gank more. Crimson Guard, recipe cost reduced from 825 to 600. Alright, that's cool. That's nice. Diffusal Blade, it's a buff for Crimson Guard. Diffusal Blade, purge cooldown reduced from 8 to 0. Yo, hectic, man. So you can just use all of your purges like instantaneously. Look, you only have a certain amount, but still, I suppose that's a buff in certain scenarios, but then it has been nerfed with the whole like flesh golem thing and all that kind of stuff. So sorry, not the flesh golem, the warlocks golems. And yeah, so purge has been nerfed, so I suppose this is giving it a buff, just to kind of counteract that and balance it out. Drum of Endurance active buff increased from 20 to 25 bonus attack speed. I like that. That's excellent. Makes Drum of Endurance more relevant on carries, etc. Dust of Appearance, cooldown reduced from 60 to 30. That's very cool. I like that, especially when you're playing against frustrating invis heroes and you use your dust to check where they are and you missed. Now you have to wait a whole minute to use the next charge of dust, so I like this. Enchanted Mango, cost reduction 150 to 125. That's nice, that's good. Cast range increased from 250 to 400. That is very cool for supports. That's actually excellent, especially with if you've got, say, a very tanky hero, like, say, a Wraith King. And the Wraith King's tanking all the damage, whatever, and he's up against the Anti-Mage, and the Anti-Mage is getting him down to, like, nearly 0 health. And then your support, as the Wraith King's about to die, just drops a mango on him, and then when he dies, he comes back, you know? So I think that's a nice little buff to Mango, and makes using mangoes a little bit more relevant, which I think it needed. Right, Ethereal Blade, Ether Blast, cooldown reduced from 30 to 20. Yo, that's okay. So that's quite a buff for Eth Blade. Maybe that was in line with the whole Necrophos nerfs. So if he actually gets farmed and gets his Ethereal Blade, that he has been buffed now. Yeah, like, it buffs certain heroes, but it's not huge. It's not anything game breaking. Yule Scepter of Divinity, Cyclone cast range reduced from 700 to 575. Very good nerf. I think that cast range was way too large. And I mean, like, supports could literally stay out of everything, and you could, like, as Lena or something, you could literally see the hero come out of fog and cyclone them. So now you got to actually, like, run a bit, and it makes it a little bit harder. So I think that's a good nerf to your Scepter. Guardian Greaves Mend cooldown reduced from 45 to 40. That's cool. Nice little nerf there for Guardian Greaves. Glimmer Cape. Glimmer Fade time increased from 0.4 to 0.6. That's cool. It's a nice nerf. Glimmer buff is now purgeable. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you can actually purge Glimmer Cape, the Glimmer buff. I think that's excellent nerf to Glimmer Cape. It was a little bit too OP, and look, I mean, you could still, you know, dust them or whatever, but I think having that being purgeable just makes it a little bit more easier to counter. I like that. Glimmer buff magic resistance reduced from 55 to 45%. That's awesome. Glimmer buff cast range reduced from 900 to 800. Again, nice little nerf there, little nerfs here and there, trying to balance it out. Glimmer buff mana cost reduced. Okay, so the mana cost has been reduced. That's a little bit of a buff there. Glimmer visual effect on initial cast is now more obvious. Awesome. Okay, so it makes it a little more, like, usually in a team fight, suddenly though it disappears and you're not really sure what happened. So that's good. It'll make it more obvious that, oh, he's been glimmered, and, you know, we need to do something about that. So if he attacks you, this is actually a nice scenario. Like, you Glimmer Cape a carry, the carry is now, so, or your enemy support Glimmer capes your enemy carry. The carry starts attacking you, and you get a lot of damage on him, and now he wants to run away. Now you can purge it off him. And if he doesn't actually glimmer down and go invisible, you can actually see it being cast on him, and you can purge it, like, immediately. So this is a good buff for Glimmer Cape. It balances it out more. It makes it more relevant to the game dynamics. I think this is a very good nerf to Glimmer Cape. Heart of Tarask, health restore per second increased from 3.25 to 4%. That's cool. I like that. Nice buff to Centaur and a few other strength heroes. I like that. Heaven's Halberd can now be disassembled. Very cool. Very nice. Look, it's not anything majorly hectic, but if, say, your hero is building into a butterfly or something, now you can go and you can build a Heaven's Halberd, then you can split it, make a Sanji Asher, like, say on Bloodseeker or whatever. You can build your Sanji Asher and then build your butterfly, So I think that's a nice buff to Heaven's Halberd. You'll probably see it picked up a lot more. Helm of the Dominator now sets the dominated unit's health to a minimum of 1,400. If the dominated unit's base health is higher than the minimum, its health will not change. That's actually quite interesting. That's quite cool. So you can dominate, like, say, an enemy creep, and suddenly they have 1,400 health. I think that's very nice. That's a nice buff to Helm the Dominator. Makes people want to use that dominate ability more. I don't think it's utilized enough. People get Helm of the Dominator and they don't use it to dominate creeps as much as they should. So I think that's good. Helm of Iron Will, cost reduced from 950 to 900. It's kind of like a side buff to Helm of the Dominator. I think that's cool. Lotus Orb, Echo Shell, mana cost reduced. Echo Shell cooldown reduced. So nice buff to Lotus Orb. We'll definitely see it picked up more then. Yeah, that's very cool. Especially on heroes that's, don't really have a huge mana pool. Like Axe, like he's using a lot of mana with his ultimate and his call and everything. So heroes like that, having this mana reduction is very useful for them. Manta Style, Mirror Image, Range, Melee, cooldown reduced from 50-35 to 45-30. That's cool. Mirror Image, mana cost reduced from 165 to 125. Very nice buff for Manta Style. Yeah, it's more of like a balancing out thing. I think it was desperate that it needed this, but it just makes it more relevant. Icefrog knows what he's doing, I think. I hope. Medallion of Courage can no longer target spell immune enemies. Very cool. Very cool. Nice nerf. Reduces armor values by half against Roshan. Very, very good nerf. Excellent nerf, especially for pro games. None of this, let's go Rosh at like 6 minutes and I annihilate that thing. Solar Crest, evasion and mischance reduced from 30% to 25%. That's cool. Nice little nerf. Can no longer target spell immune enemies. Same kind of thing with Medallion. Reduces armor values by half against Roshan. So same kind of nerf that's on Medallion of Courage. This whole getting Roshan thing so quickly is now reduced by half. So that's cool. I like that. Majulna Chain Lightning targets count increased from 8 to 12. Wow. Okay, so that's a big buff for Majulna. Massive buff. So farming faster, team fights, a lot more damage being outputted by the Chain Lightning. Heroes like Alchemist, maybe Troll, Marana. Lots of heroes that like to get this item to farm up early on and then, like to get Maelstrom and then convert it to Majulna. This is very relevant for them. Moonshard no longer requires a recipe. Awesome. Very awesome for carries. Again, a carry like Alchemist is going to love this. So that's excellent. Necronomicon Warrior and Archer health increased from 600, 700, 800 to 700, 800, 900. Okay, so that's a nice buff for Necronomicon. Octarine Core, fixed interaction with Guardian Greaves. Okay, cool. The stack limit was previously fixed to 45 seconds rather than the cooldown. Alright, so that's cool. So you can do Guardian Greaves more often. Pipe of Insight Aura now works on the carrier. That's cool. Phase Boots, phase duration reduced. Wow, they nerfed phase boots. Phase bonus speed increased from 16% to 24%. Okay, for melee heroes, 20% for ranged. So phase boots on melee heroes a lot more relevant now, and but then the seconds have been reduced. Okay, so it's more of a balancing. I think it's overall slight nerf, but I think it's more of balancing out. So it's not as OP. Power Tread's attack speed reduced from 30 to 25. It seems small, but that is actually quite a lot. That's quite a big thing, especially for, like, I'd say mid-tier level players, like in pubs, where they need that little bit of extra attack speed to get more last hits or whatever. I think from a pro game perspective, that's not like such a big change. But yeah, it just makes forces you to have more of a skill to be able to achieve more. I think it's a good nerf. Look, I don't know how relevant or needed it was, but it's cool. Quelling Blade, chop cooldown reduced from 5 to 4 seconds. That's very cool. I like that. That plays into the whole nerfing of techies. That even plays into nerfing Treant's ultimate with Aghanim Scepter. So yeah, I think that's a very nice buff for Quelling Blade. It's yeah, that's good. Radiance recipe cost reduced from 1425 to 1350. So people can get Radiance a lot quicker now. It's like Spectre, Bloodseeker, Nagasiren, those kinds of heroes. So it's a nerf to all of them. Very cool. South of Fast cooldown reduced from 35 to 30. That's cool. That's a very nice buff for South. You'll probably see it picked up a bit more. You can maybe even get it off twice now in team fights. So that's nice if they last long enough. Town Portal Scroll. Town Portal Scroll cost reduced from 100 to 75. Huge, awesome buff to Town Portal Scroll. Very, very cool, especially for supports who don't have a lot of money. Same kind of reasoning when they reduced it from, I think, 135 gold, or it was 125, somewhere around there, to 100. So this is very cool, means people will move around the map a lot more. I think this is an awesome idea. It makes there be more action, forces there to be more action, more fighting, more supporting of like a mid hero when it gets ganked, that people TP in. So yeah, I like that. Ring of Health cost reduction from 875 to 850, and the same thing with Voidstone. Okay, so quicker Battle Fury. Yeah, so quicker Battle Fury there. That's look, it's 25 gold, but it's still relevant. I mean, that extra 50 gold that you had to get was another creep that you had to hit. So you're getting it like a little bit sooner, and like maybe the creep wave comes through and now you got 50 gold that you needed to get and the creep wave's gone. Now you'll actually be able to get it. So it does buff Battle Fury. And the last one, Veil of Discord, recipe cost reduced from 1100 to 900. So just promoting Veil of Discord. Same kind of thing with the Helm of Iron Will. So yeah. Anyways, hope you liked this patch analysis. I think in general, after going through it like this, I feel like the patch is very centered around people, supports harassing a lane more and ganking more. There's been nice nerfs on the previous meta with certain heroes that were maybe a little bit too OP and played a little bit too much, especially in pubs. And I think that this patch in general has increased the pool of heroes that could be selected in pro games. So I think this is a very good patch. Nice balancing going on. Nice buffs here and there for certain heroes that might need it. A lot of buffs and nerfs where you don't really, it wasn't really needed, but maybe in the general scheme, Ice Frog feels like it's going to balance out the game a bit more, so we'll just have to see. But I think this patch has been a really awesome patch, and I'm really excited now for the majors and ESL 1 and all of those tournaments coming up. I think the pro games are going to be a lot more exciting, a lot more ganking, a lot more fighting. So yeah, really excited about this patch. Hope you liked this video. Please go like, comments, please subscribe. Got lots of cool videos coming up, and I'll keep doing videos like this, information and helping people out. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and cheers.